Hi, Garrett and everyone. Thank you for sticking with us and joining us once again. I'm now with Joe Booth, the Technical Director of the Internet Party of New Zealand, and I'm really excited to speak with him, and share some of his insights with you all, because up until now, we haven't really had an insight into the inside of not only the Unity4j Vigil, but also the Unity4j Discord server, and what it's like to be somebody who, really gives all of their time and energy to this on the technical side, and what's involved in keeping this type of effort up and running. So Joe Booth, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, and thank you for the welcome. It is a bit of a new experience actually being on the stream rather than sitting back watching it. So yeah, I'm keen to sort of just talk through a bit of my background and how I got to be there and what this means to me.
Definitely, please do. I want people to hear how you sort of transitioned from your original work, which was I believe it was to do with public safety in relation to the police in New Zealand, and how you transferred from that type of effort to joining something like the Internet Party. Like, how does that happen?
Yeah. I think the Internet Party came before I'd sort of moved out of that role, and I suppose I've always been a geek. I like to say I'm 86% geek. I'm not too sure what the other percentage is, but certainly always been interested in the technical side of things, and I seem to get involved whenever there's a bunch of people gathering together doing something that involves connecting each other. So I like to I like networking things, connecting things together. So I was working, as a system administrator, a system engineer, a senior developer, looking after public safety in New Zealand for making the fire trucks turn out and make it happen. And I remember seeing the Occupy protests, right outside the window and down in Wellington Central on the sort of waterfront there, and just wondering what all these tents were. And I wandered down and said, my lunch break, and said, hey, what are you guys doing? What's this all about? And I think what really drew me to the movement was the genuine people, the genuine sort of people that were honest. They spoke with feeling and they knew what they were talking about. And so I think Caitlin, starting this all off, said truth resonates, and it does sort of hit something inside, and you realize that you're doing something that's worth it. And so I suppose getting back to that, yeah, so I had quite a successful career, moving through the corporate world, working for a multinational that looks after public safety in a lot of places, Homeland Security, you name it.
That's an incredible transition between doing that and then Occupy and then the Internet Party.
Yeah, well, I think to some degree there was quite a chilling effect of working for that, in that kind of role, and I was public safety, which is not anything to do with, well, it's keeping people safe. It's not something to do with, it's emergency services when you call the fire department or something like that. And so this sort of police brutality and things that people were talking about, and overreaching things. I'd worked with on the other side, and I knew people with police. I could tell, I knew they were genuine people and they really cared about the rule of law and what happened. And so it was always hard to justify or to rationalize, these stories I heard when I was on the inside, sort of saying, yeah, well, I think if you're in that perspective, you can, yeah. It sort of developed this sort of dichotomy of two things in my mind of where I could go. And I've always had quite a core belief, or sort of a foundation that I run my life on, and if something doesn't sort of resonate with that, then it's no good for me.
So how did Occupy resonate with you and start to kind of shift you in that direction?
So it was that truth and the passion, and people standing up for what was right, was what really resonated with me. They were standing up for what seemed to be right, and I was quite passionate about that. And I suppose that sort of led me into just general dissatisfaction with society, and I hope that it could be better. And that's about when the Internet Party in 2014 was launched. And I remember standing back from it, wondering what was going to happen with this. I probably even voted, for the other team, because they were offering faster internet. And certainly the Internet Party came with that promise and more. And so I like to say with Internet Party, I got into politics for the tech. And I suppose I got into Unity for J because of the tech. So I think the common thread with me is I like solving complex problems. I like trying to connect people, connect things together and make them work. I like to sort of restore things to working. I like to try and figure out what's broken with something and fix it. That's what gets me going. If something's broken, I just want to fix it, make it better. And I suppose that passion is what takes me into Unity for J, wanting to help right the wrong, to stand up for Julian, who's just being crapped on. I think what really brought it to me home recently, I don't know if you've listened to the brake lights, you probably have every break, the brake lights thing, but just some of the phrasing in there, if these strings were cut, I could fly from this place, hold you in my love embrace, and just that sort of feeling of empathy. And I think that's where I really identify with. I can just imagine if I didn't have internet, if I couldn't connect with the people that I care about, if I couldn't see, the passion in people, and that's what resonates for me. And I think that is a universal thing that does bind Unity for J together. We all care about Julian, or we care about the injustice, or we care about what's not happening. So yeah, I'm that's where I sort of come into it. Yeah.
No, I think that's brilliant. I think that's a really great way of looking at it, and I'm glad you kind of described that, the emotional impact and impetus behind getting involved. And another thing I wanted to ask you about, I sort of mentioned in the introduction, to your segment, but we haven't really had a voice and a face of the technical support side of both the vigils and the new Discord server. And, we've tried to mention it a number of times during the vigils that this couldn't happen without tech support, but you guys are so integral to the functioning of all of this, and yet you're not seen and you're not really heard. And so I just wanted to kind of ask you to give us an insight into how that all works in a general sense, and what it's like to be a tech person who's up for the entire 40 hours or whatever it is, that however long the vigil goes, and all of that.
Yeah, so making this thing happen does involve a team, and I know, currently our stream team running this is 6 key people, including a graphic designer who is putting together some of these titles, and I can see myself on someone's TV in the stream with it there. It's fantastic, and I think just the incredible people that are willing to give their time without expecting any reward is really encouraging. We launched this thing, the Discord server, and I remember the night before, creating the server, setting up a few things, and then Susie got loose and organised it all, and I really respect what she brings to it. I think with Internet Party and with all of these, she brings her wealth of experience in running big sort of software projects, and and pulling people together and focusing them on things. And I've sort of worked alongside her for the last year and a half, and I think that gives me a bit of drive to apparently the TV also in the streams is Arnie is our graphic designer. That gives me the passion to, or I suppose the drive. I mean, by nature, I'm fairly laid back and relaxed, and if you leave me to it, I'll just go and sleep in the corner and watch some YouTubes. And so having Susie pinging me at 3 a.m. to say we've got a list of guests, can we get it up, is what needs. I need that drive, and I need that sort of challenge and that task to do, because I then lap it up and get it done. And I think there's a number of people in the stream that, and in the Discord, that just have that passion for what they do, whether it's their geekiness or their skill, and they have a passion for doing what they do. And having someone say, "Oh, can you help us with this?"
Which is often me many times.
Yeah, and people always say, "I don't want to bother you, but can you help?" And I'm like, "Yes, yes, I love to see that broken thing fixed, or that the spark lit again in people, or whether it's frustrating tech."
Yeah, I think for so many of us that are not technological, when we have that problem, it's like pulling a tooth, and so we assume it must be that painful for you to come and deal with it. So it's really good to hear that when we complain about the tech not working, that it's at least not troubling people. But
yeah, that's and it's always good. I mean, I relish the opportunity to. I think last stream I went out to grab some food, and I was midway back, and I chew through far too much mobile data. I'm trying to keep up with these things. Switched on the data and screaming, "The stream's down! It's all broken!" And it's fantastic to be able to just log in and get things sorted, and be able to have a team of people that you can run through these problems. And it's incredible, the names and the faces and the people that we've sort of joined together. And you might say, I woke up one morning after setting up the server, and 2,000 people were calling my name, and we weren't really in a position of handling that sort of influx, and didn't really expect that response. But when you think about it and you start talking to people out there, this is exactly what you need. You need to have someone standing up and saying, "I'm here, count me in," and then someone else will stand by them. And I think that's what happened with Occupy. It's just one voice standing up and saying, "This is truth. We need to do something about this." And people, that sort of voice resonates loudly, and people will stand up with you. And it's something that I've been trying to teach myself as much as anything, is that I can stand up. And for many years, as I say, working behind the closed doors, it's very hard to get back into that mindset of being free. I mean, I go and watch my YouTube channel from 15 years ago, and I was a bit more outspoken. Well, probably not 15 years. I think been at least 12. I think as long as internet video's been around.
I think that's probably about the dawn of YouTube at that point.
Yeah. And well, before YouTube, there was Google Video, and before that, well, we tried.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the 320 by 240 video, and that was cool. I had a webcam, and I used to stream my entire life to the world, but we don't do that anymore. So I think that's where it really resonates with Julian. He's got a message, and he needs to be heard. And WikiLeaks have that message, but to silence that voice makes a lot of us just want to stand up and say, "Hey, you can't do this. We won't be silenced. We won't stand down, because this is truth. This is what the world needs. What we need as a society is to be more honest with ourselves, with each other. There's too much manipulation behind the scenes that people trying to play a game or make power moves, and I don't know.
No, I think that's really.
I glanced at the chat. Hi people.
Let me check the chat myself. I haven't been doing that enough during the stream so far. So yeah, if anybody in the chat right now has any questions for Joe, please throw them into the chat, and I will try to ask them to him. Thank you all for sticking with us. I know in the US it's pretty late right now, but it looks like we've got some people just going back and forth at the moment. And just as a side tangent, somebody asked why did WikiLeaks dox ICE, and I just want to answer that by saying that they didn't. It was already public information that was already published, and so they didn't. And it was not only had it been published elsewhere, but it had been put up by those ICE agents themselves. So it wasn't something where they were doxing them. They were just making available information which was already public. So with that out of the way, Joe, I wanted to ask you as well. So, because it's so important to not only have basically what I'm trying to get at here is that when you only see the hosts and you only see the kind of the tip of the iceberg of the actual effort, whether it's the vigils or whether it's the server, and if you can just describe to us what it's like having people flood the Unity4J Discord, and just the way that you see the movement itself developing and from the inside, and what that's like and what's involved with keeping up with that.
Yeah, and I've found it challenging to keep up, and I know it's fantastic to see the structure evolve of this movement, and natural leaders sort of rise to the fore and start organising the people around them. And I think quite often people will come in and say, what can I do? And if there's not someone there to say this is what you can do, then they'll just say, I can't do anything. Well, I'll just hang around. But I think if there are people that are standing up and saying, hey, here's something you can do, just make this effort. And I'm looking after the web team, and we're trying to pull together a better a 2.0 for the Unity4J.com site, and just get rid of maybe the glow and do a few tweets. As a geek, I really like that kind of stuff. I like making things more usable, and to have, I think, there was 93 odd people on my web team the other day, all just hanging out waiting for the next thing that we can do, is fantastic. Well, 12 of them are online right now, listening to us.
No, I think that's really incredible, though, the way that's expanded so quickly. Like you said, from a team of maybe 6 people that are really core to the vigils, to having 90 or 12. Even 12 is doubling. So that's really, I know that it's not exactly the same team, but that's still really, really heartening to hear it double like that.
Yeah, I mean, one aspect that I've seen evolve into something that, we sort of sit in our own little worlds, and we don't realize really the rest of the world this resonates with. And hashtag Unity4J might be something that you have a perspective on, but if you're sitting in another country, then you don't have the happiness that we have in New Zealand. You don't have it's a different place. And to see what was, just in our server, say, hash events turn into Australia events, Canada events, Ireland events, New Zealand events, UK events, US events, Ecuador events, France events, Germany, Argentina, and even the other day, India. We just, how this is expanding to embrace all cultures and all people. I've also been I found it incredible to see the translation. We had a channel called Translations, right? And thought, this is about, just putting a few things into another language. And you've seen the memes, you've seen the Twitter accounts that have popped up, bringing Unity4J to people in their own language. And I mean, just the breadth. We can we have a team writing Korean, Hebrew, Galatian, Finnish, Portuguese, Serbian, Croatian.
That has been a really incredible development to watch, of all these languages and the translators involved. That has been really moving.
Yeah, and so tapping into that, one of the things, and for some of you astute may have scrolled all the way to the bottom of unityforj.com and realised there's a little drop-down list there with so far English and French, and we're hoping to bring internationalisation and localisation into our website so that you don't have to use Google Translate or whatever to view the content we're going to put up there. The Unity for J site's going to have a gallery to bring together a lot of these videos and content that we're creating in an easy to digest way. You won't have to go to YouTube. You can just visit our site, which a lot of people are doing. Yes, as Natalie's saying in the Periscope chat, we do need a list of all the locations that people are doing stuff, where all these events are. We need a listing of collateral, and I think that's another thing that has proved quite beyond our expectations. We've got a graphics team who's pumping out these gorgeous stuff, memes left, right, and centre, and it is fantastic. But when you've got 1,000 different images with different bits of text in it, how do you find that one that you want? So one effort we're trying to pull together is to bring together a sort of an access, digital access, essentially tag our media and be able to find it again, because Discord's a chat for gamers. It's not really your content delivery mechanism or your graphics archives. So a lot of that has evolved, and we've only been at it for a week or so, and it's amazing to see.
Well, and another aspect of the work that you all do, and I know that it's kind of like a slightly separate group, team, that it's almost like a Venn diagram. Like you have the web team, you have the tech, and then you have people that are turning around making YouTube videos, and some of them are in both groups. But I wanted to ask you about the fact that not only does the tech team, yourself included, support the events and support the Discord. So you all are there the entire time. If we have a tech problem, somebody has to be there to help us. Mm-hmm. You are also, you also turn around after the vigil ends very quickly and have to turn around and make those individual videos. So you have to listen to the whole thing over again in order to see where the video cuts. So the work you guys do is almost like doubled or tripled because of the amount of time you have to put in just after. When you're all sleep deprived, we're all sleep deprived. All you want to do is crash. And you have to make videos.
And everyone's asking, do you have a video of that thing that I'm sure
so and so? Yeah.
And I can't scroll back to it because it's already gone. One thing I found actually quite great is the Periscope chats. You can sort of essentially rewind, and they do keep a lot of it. So that's been good for just scrolling back and finding that at hour 36 of the vigil, Joe said these words. But we're getting better at doing it live. The team is actually, I know I'm speaking English, but there is a translations team as we speak, probably transcribing half of my words.
And see, that's extra work that we don't see either, and we don't really know. Like the audience isn't seeing that, but that's an incredible kind of labor of love that so many people are caring about this movement in that way.
Oh yeah, well, so many passionate people just putting the effort in where they care about something, and so if you would like to, just do join us. unityforj.com/Discord. And it does sound weird to talk about Discord in Unity, but I think the biggest advantage of Discord or diversity is that it brings us together, the more difference we have, the more we can adjust our thinking. We don't have to just think down one line. We can see other perspectives, and just even bringing on someone from a different culture or a different language can expand the way you think about the world. And we all do need to think about the rest of the world. And so that's one thing that I've found fantastic. It's not just people I know, it's people I don't know, and it's people that are awake when I'm asleep, carrying on the efforts that I've started, it's a real community. And I think the internet has enabled this far more than we could. If you're talking about Occupy, you're in a tent and you're organizing stuff on the ground, you're local, but the internet has brought that. And I think to some degree, one of the good things that happened was that the physical spaces got broken up, so people took to the internet, which is a very powerful tool in the hands of anyone who wants to say anything. And I'm pretty passionate about people being able to say what they like. It's been interesting trying to, I suppose, we've had in our server, obviously, we're focused on Unity for J. So if you come in talking about some other topic, then it's a bit off topic, and we'd rather get on with work. But I think there's room for, and a few people have noticed my little timeout room. It used to be the band corner, but it's now called timeout, time away from your work, to just relax and play. And I think bringing a bit of that culture that it's all right to be a real person, and it's not just all about work, as we're all people and we all care about each other, and putting a bit of a few hearts and emojis into the chat, and just building each other up is good stuff.
Absolutely. And I think as well, if anybody ever has a problem with being told, okay, we're not going to talk about that here, or let's get back to work. This is not, and, from my perspective, I have so much respect for everyone involved with the server and everything that they do together. I think it's an incredible movement. But if you're a person that is more of a lone wolf type, and if you are somebody who you don't like what somebody told you or whatever, please don't not support Julian because you don't like the server, or you don't want to, or it's not your style to work in that way. As Joe said, a lot of people have been constantly, since we started these vigils especially, said, I want to help, but I don't know how. And if you're in that place, then, the server might be a place where you can be kind of guided in how you might be able to help. But if you're somebody who already knows what they want to do, then that's fine too. So, I think that is definitely, taking, it's really giving people a place to go when, as you said, they don't know where to start. So that's so valuable. Where do you see the movement kind of going in the next, few weeks or couple of months? Because I know that Susie's talked a lot about that, but from your perspective, in addition to kind of improving the Unity 4J website, in a real world sense, from your perspective, where do you see, this going? What do you think about the situation with Julian right now? What's your gut feeling on that?
Well, I think a few people have actually said it. I think what we've done, and what people have done in response to the news about Julian has helped the situation. He's still not locked up. He hasn't been dragged out. And so I think to some degree our efforts are helping. And I think we can only get smarter. We can only do it better. And there's always going to be naysayers. I think the channel India was in response to, well, why aren't we doing anything in India? And I'm sorry, yes, we should be doing something in India. But then Unity for J is about what you want, about what the people feel a need to fill, rather than about what I want. This is not me. This is not me telling you what to do. This is about me enabling you to do what you love, in support and solidarity with Julian, and that's So if you're coming looking for someone to tell you what to do, then don't come to me, because I'll just say, well, what do you love doing? And I think that's a lesson that I'm trying to teach myself. I really love seeing that spark lit in people, and I love people learning that lesson of diversity and learning that lesson that they can talk to someone else and alter that mindset and see something from a different perspective. And I've had to practice that over my life, and I'm slowly learning to treat other people with the respect they deserve and see them as a human being, irrespective of their position, of their beliefs, of their standing. And I think if we just have that core of empathy for each other, this Unity for J movement will carry on. And you might be angry about something in the movement not happening, but just find that bit that connects you with someone rather than the bit that separates you. And I think that's what Unity is about.
No, I think that's brilliant. I think that's really, really an insightful way of describing how it evolves rather than is like a top down, because I think that's the type of, like, what you're describing, that it's not that top down, kind of groupthink mentality is kind of reversed from what you're saying in Unity 4J. It's kind of this two-way street, unlike, the structure of maybe intelligence agencies and that type of thing, where, you're really encouraging people to kind of ask you guys what they want and how you can help, et cetera, et cetera.
But yeah, I mean, I'm a great one for chaos. I really do enjoy chaos because there's so much sparks of creativity and things in there. So you probably find me being an anarchist somewhere, or at least a libertarian, or I don't know. You haven't managed to pin me down yet. And some of you on Twitter know me as Joe Manji, and on Discord, the Manji. Back when the internet was born, you could only fit 8 characters into your username, and I really wanted like menagerie, and it wouldn't fit, and I couldn't spell it anyway. So Manji ended up, I'm pretty sure it's French for something, but it's stuck with me over the years. And I suppose at some stage I decided that the internet wasn't about an anonymity, and Joe got added to the Manji. And yeah, I've sort of rocked on with that. So menagerie of interests. I'll put my oar in somewhere, and it'll be I'll just keep on fixing that thing, or taping over that, or bringing that up, or fixing that, and eventually we'll find that we've got 2,737 members, and we're cranking out thousands of memes in hundreds of languages, and this movement, I love it. How can I keep doing it? It stirs my passions. It gets me going, and just to see the people that are stepping out of themselves and standing up for something other than their own self-interests, that resonates with me too. So bring it on.
Yeah, so it's so incredibly important that you and the rest of the tech support are there. You're literally the pillars that this entire operation kind of stands on. And so to have you that enthusiastic, if you weren't present in that way, it just couldn't happen. So I think that, we can't really overstate the importance of what you and the rest of the tech and web and social media teams do, while, and again, that's now that I'm saying that, I just remembered that, of course, there's the social media teams in addition to the tech support who spend the entire vigil in a team, helping to get the message out there while the vigil happens. And they as well are kind of unseen. If you're just in the YouTube chat, you don't see them, doing what they do, but they're incredibly dedicated as well. So it's an important thing to note. And I'm really glad that we have you here to kind of describe not only the way that things work, but also why you're so motivated to help. I think that really, I hope that it inspires some people, and maybe some tech people are watching and will be inspired to help out as well from what you're saying.
Yeah, I hope so. And, as I said, I don't promise to have all the answers, but together we'll find the answer, and together we will grow and we will make this happen. And I'm so grateful for all the people that know more than me and have more expertise than me. I started with this, we were talking about how the translations expanded, but my team expanded into user experience and design and front end and back end and networking people, security people, tech people, people making bots, and I think some of you have seen some of the efforts that have gone into and how the platform's evolved. But when you step into our Discord server, you're asked to go through a list of questions and put a little thumbs up for each thing that you can do. And it's fantastic to see people go from coming in and saying, yeah, I only know about Twitter, to going through the list and saying, well, yeah, actually, I do have a YouTube account. I can post something on Reddit. I can get this message out on minds.com. I have a Gabai account, you name it. And yeah, if you look for Manji or Joe Manji on most of those networks, on there somewhere. I think I have a Plurk account. Do you remember what Plurk was? It was some sort of Twitter thing.
No, I don't remember that at all, actually.
No. So yeah. Anyway, it's fantastic to have so many people building something, and if this something can bring Julian to a better place, then I think our effort's really worth it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that also reminds me that, and we know this, that Julian is incredibly gifted technically, as well as, as a writer and somebody who can think politically. I mean, he's very kind of multi-talented, but do you in any way sort of resonate with his efforts because of the technical side of things, and just, even though you have different, areas of expertise, maybe does that still resonate with you in some way?
Yeah, well, I think I'm always interested by the technical machinations of how these things work, and so I think Julian's explained a lot of that, and WikiLeaks have, and I can't say that I probably don't have WikiLeaks on my top list, but I certainly paid attention when Collateral Murder came out, and it started to say, why are these people doing this stuff in our name? The government in theory works for us, right? And if they aren't doing what we're asking for, then why don't we change it? And I think that's where some of my internet party, and I just sort of stuck around and made it happen. And I think if you're willing to stick around and put up with a few challenges, then there's a reward at the end. There's always something worth it at the end. Just stick it out. So I'm holding out for the grand plan to be unveiled, but I'll just push on each little bit and see what we can do. I've certainly enjoyed the ride. I remember 2014, my Twitter account, The Geek Joe, was formed in 2014 because I needed an outlet for my not so approved thoughts. That wasn't my main Twitter account, and it's grown. And as I let more and more of my geekery out, my passion for connecting and people and building networks and finding those things that we have in common only going to grow. Yeah.
Well, are there any other? Oh no, go right ahead. I must
put a call out to all the lovely people in the chat that are saying nice things about me. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and I wish that more of our tech team could have that experience, really, because I feel like you guys are so much the rock on which everything else stands, that it's really great to be able to kind of just spend some time with you guys and discuss the kind of the difficulties, the things that you guys go through, but also the stuff that you really enjoy, which is really good to hear about. Are there any other issues you want to cover that we haven't talked about yet, or any experiences that you want to share with us that were just really moving to do with either Julian Assange and WikiLeaks or Occupy or the Internet Party, anything that really just inspired you over the years in your involvement with all this?
Well, I suppose there was probably several moments that sort of birthed the realization that there was something deeper, and the whole deep state thing sort of popped up with me. I remember I was out grabbing my lunch one afternoon, and this massive big convoy of police vehicles was coming down the harbour. And I was like, whoa, there's a lot of cops. As you do, take a photo, tweet it out. Whoa, there's a lot of cops. And I was walking back to the office when I had a call from my boss, who had a call from his boss, who had a call from his boss, who had a call from someone else's boss, who obviously knew the instant that I uploaded a photo of a bunch of police vehicles. And that to me was a very chilling thing. And I realized that people are watching, my every move. I mean, who the hell cares about my Twitter or my Flickr at the time, I think it was. And to have people that didn't actually understand what Flickr was saying, can you take this photo down? I was like, what photo? Oh, I just innocently took that photo. I didn't even realize. And so realizing the implications of my actions, and in the context of national security or whatever, has been an education. And I suppose, and that was something that I just learned. Another thing I sort of stepping into, I run a small community network, which is about connecting physical internets to people, called MeshNet. And I've done this for years. It's probably been about 12, 15 years. Every time I see someone without internet, I'll try and give them some internet, because, it makes things better, even if you are just watching porn on it. And so as a result, I'm classed as an ISP under the Telecommunications Intercept and Securities Act in New Zealand, and I have to register with the GCSB, the Government Security Communications Bureau, the SPIES, as a internet service provider, and I need to provide intercept capabilities to my customers. And for a start, I probably don't know who my customers are, so that was a challenge. They're just people that I gave some internet to, and so bringing that perspective in, and knowing that there's not just we're the government and we're here to help you, but there's also another aspect of that behind the things, that we want to see all your traffic, all your data, and we have the power under law to compel you to do it, and you aren't allowed to tell your customers. And that is something that just, I remember when Tixa first came out, thinking about what that would mean to me providing internet to random people on the street.
Yeah, no, that's an incredibly unique perspective, and I'm so glad you've been able to discuss that with us, in addition to everything else about the Vigil, about Unity4J, the server, the Vigil, and also Occupy. So, we're right at the end of our hour, and it's been a fantastic segment. And thank you so much, Joe, for being with us. And I hope in future that we'll have you back, and also have some other tech people, social people involved, and really give us their perspective on how this all operates behind the scenes a little bit. So thank you so much. And after our, musical break, I will be here with Helen Razor, and I'm really glad and I'm really excited to speak with her and see her thoughts on current events with Julian Assange. Thank you again, Joe.
Oh, fantastic. Good night all, or good morning, as the case may be. Stand strong for Julian.